Hello students, welcome to this channel. If you are looking to memorize many words for a competitive exam, you have come to the right place. You can learn many words in a short duration of time. One thing that I can assure you is that it is a very scientific method. All the pronunciation of the word is the same as per the international level. If you want to see these words in a flashcard format, we have already developed a platform and a mobile app. You can easily access these words as per your convenience. Now, let us discuss these words. First, look at the meaning and then try to make a broader picture in your mind. A debut is a first appearance, a launch, or public introduction. So before you make your big debut at the office, check and make sure you don't have spinach in your teeth. The personal quality of decency is one of honesty, good manners, and respect for other people. If something is drastically reduced or killed, especially in number, you can say it was decimated. The oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico decimated the wildlife along the coast. Decipher means translate from code, or more generally, figure out. If you can't decipher your teacher's writing, it means you can't read it. You might feel like you're being asked to decipher a code. If you're standing at the top of a hill looking down to the bottom, you're staring down a declivity, a downward slope of any kind. If you deface something, you've blemished or disfigured it in some way. For example, graffiti can deface a statue. Having a defeatist attitude means that you give up before you've even started, like the runner who is so convinced he's going to lose the race that he doesn't even bother to go to the starting line. Sure, you wear ripped jeans to school every day, but you don't wear them to your grandmother's house out of deference to her. When you show deference to someone, you make a gesture of respect. Have you ever seen a picture of a protester who is about to be carried off by police but is still shouting or resisting, fighting to the bitter end? That person is defiant. Deforestation is the clearing of trees, transforming a wooded area into cleared land. The first step in turning the wilderness into a shopping center is deforestation. Defuse can be defined as remove the fuse from an explosive device in order to prevent it from exploding. Feeling overwhelmed, like you're underwater? You might be experiencing a deluge, like when you've been given a deluge of homework over vacation, a dozen term papers, 24 books to read, and a mile-high stack of math problems. Do you know the population growth rate of your city? The education levels of everyone on your block? Then you're a fan of demography, the branch of sociology that studies human behavior by analyzing statistical information. To denounce is to tattle, rat out, or speak out against something. When you stand on your desk and tell the class that your partner is cheating, you denounce him or her. Deplorable is an adjective used to describe something extremely bad or unfortunate, like the deplorable destruction and loss of life in Japan after the earthquake and tsunami. A deposition is a statement made in court. A deposition can be made outside of court, too. After a crime, a witness might give a deposition. Then that written or recorded deposition can be used as evidence in the courtroom. When a train or a subway derails, its wheels accidentally leave the tracks. Train cars that derail can cause the cars behind them to crash. Desecration is a type of behavior that disrespects the sacredness or holiness of something. Words and actions that are offensive to a religion could be considered acts of desecration. Desperate means having lost all hope. If you are desperate for food, it means you are starving, possibly about to die. If you are in a desperate situation, it means things are really, really bad. Stealing the last piece of food from a starving child goes way beyond mean. It's despicable, a vile and harmful act. When opposing countries reach an understanding or truce, that's détente, meaning a loosening of tensions. A deterrent makes you not want to do something. Let's say there's a giant pile of cookies being guarded by an angry dog. The dog is a deterrent. Detrimental is a formal way of saying harmful. Anything detrimental hurts, hinders, or puts a damper on something. Detrimental things do damage. Diffuse means to spread out. Candlelight can diffuse a soft glow throughout a room. A diffuse idea is one that spreads from person to person, and a diffuse speech is scattered and unclear. To dine is to eat a meal, particularly the last meal of the day. When you invite friends over for dinner, you can ask them if they'd like to dine with you. Discord is the strife and tension that arises when two sides disagree on something, like the high-pitched screaming of two kids fighting over the front seat of the car. Use the verb disembark to describe leaving a ship, airplane, or other type of vehicle, like making sure you haven't left anything in the plane's overhead compartment before you disembark. To disillusion is to make someone realize their belief isn't true. If your cousin believes that the tooth fairy will come in the night, take her tooth and sprinkle her with fairy dust. It would be too cruel to disillusion her. If you can't decide whether to purchase the shirt with orange polka dots or the purple paisley patterned one, you might seek input from a disinterested, or unbiased, party, who will probably tell you not to buy either one. Disparagement is belittlement. When Prince William married Catherine Middleton, there was some disparagement by the public of her non-royal background. Snobs. Dispassionate describes someone who is not getting carried away by, or maybe not even having, feelings. It's something you'd want to see in a surgeon, who keeps cool under pressure, but not in a romantic partner. Dispense with can be defined as to set aside. Every pharmacist must accurately dispense the medicine into the proper containers in order for no one to get sick. Disseminate means to spread information, knowledge, opinions widely. Semen derives from the Latin word for seed. The idea with disseminate is that information travels like seeds sown by a farmer. If someone is docile, he is easily taught or handled. If you suddenly became a troublemaker in class, your teachers would long for the days when you were sweet and docile. Dolorous is not a woman's name, that's Dolores, it is an adjective that describes someone showing great sadness. If your friend Dolores is crying about a lost puppy, you could call her Dolorous Dolores. Use the word draconian, or lowercase draconian, to describe laws or rules that are really harsh and repressive. Most commonly found at the bottom of sinks and bathtubs across the globe, a drain is the hole through which water is carried away. Drizzle is a very light rain shower. You might grab an umbrella before you head out for a walk in the drizzle. Drowsy means sleepy and having low energy. When you're sitting in the warm sunlight after a big lunch, and you're so drowsy you can't keep your eyes open, it's not the right time to try organizing your desk. When something ebbs, it is declining, falling, or flowing away. The best time to look for sea creatures in tidal pools is when the tide is on the ebb, meaning it has receded from the shore. More than chipper, more than happy, more than delighted is ebullient, meaning bubbling over with joy and delight. You're most likely to encounter the adjective eccentric in a description of an unusual or quirky person, like a scatterbrained ant who leaves her life savings to her cat. She listens to hip-hop, Gregorian chant, and folk music from the 60s. He's been seen wearing a handmade tuxedo jacket over a thrift store flannel shirt. They both have eclectic tastes. If you've ever been so happy that the rest of the world seemed to disappear, you felt ecstasy, a feeling or state of intensely beautiful bliss. If your mom orders you to clean your room, that's an order. If the king asks you to do it, that's an edict, an official order from some higher up. To edify is to help someone understand, whether it is books that edify those who want to learn a new language, or the explanations that hang beside paintings at a museum that edify visitors who aren't familiar with the artist. Eerie means spooky, creepy, or suggestively supernatural. If it's eerie, it's sure to make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. If something is erased or rubbed out, it has been effaced. Teachers get annoyed to find that someone has effaced the blackboard, even the part clearly marked, "Do not erase." Effect is the result of an action, as in those cause and effect papers you might write in English class. Your topic could be how your late-night tuba playing, cause, has driven your roommate insane, effect. The word effeminate is used to describe a man or a boy with characteristics that are more often associated with females. You were once teased for your effeminate, high-pitched voice, but now you're a world-renowned singer. Effete is a disapproving term meaning decadent and self-indulgent, even useless. The stereotype of the rugged Westerner is just as false as the one of the effete East Coast liberal. In modern usage, effigy most often refers to a likeness, such as a dummy, that is hanged, burned, or otherwise abused when protesting the despised person's actions. Effluvium is a smelly gas, vapor, or an exhalation. You wouldn't want to breathe in the effluvium from a cargo ship or you might become ill. Stick to sailing. If you rudely behave as if you have a right to something that you have no right to, you're committing effrontery. When a couple stroll into a crowded restaurant, demand the best table, and threaten the staff unless they're seated right away, that's effrontery. An egalitarian is a person who believes in the equality of all people, and an egalitarian society gives everyone equal rights. Something that is egregious stands out, but not in a good way. It means really bad or offensive. If you make an egregious error during a championship soccer match, your coach might bench you for the rest of the game. If you want to leave a place, you need a means of egress, or a way to exit, such as a door or window. It was a beautiful old house, but without enough ways of egress, they needed outdoor fire stairs for reaching the upper floors. If you're elated, you aren't just happy, you're over the moon, absolutely excited, and bursting with pride. Like the way you feel after winning a scholarship to your first-choice college or mastering a back handspring. When you elicit, you're bringing out a response of some sort. A good comedian elicits a lot of laughs. The elite are the group thought to be the best and having the highest status. In the Middle Ages, only elite men were taught to read and write. When you elope, you run away with the person you love. Usually, you elope to get married without anyone knowing in advance. If you elucidate something, you explain it very clearly. If you don't understand fractions, a visit to the pie shop may elucidate the subject for you. Things that are elusive are hard to find, pin down, or remember. They slip right out of your grasp. Someone who is dangerously skinny and skeletal looking can be described as emaciated. It's probably how you'd start to look after a few weeks in the wilderness with only berries and bugs for dinner. Emanate means to give off, like the sound of laughter that emanates from your sister's room during her slumber party. If spooky sounds emanate from the closet, don't open the door. If you emancipate someone, you set them free from something. At the end of the Civil War, slaves were emancipated and became free men and women. When you embark on something, you are starting it, and it's exciting. You might embark on a new career or embark on a trip to the Galapagos Islands. You wouldn't embark on a trip to the grocery store. If you embarrass someone, you make them feel self-conscious, awkward, or even stupid. Your mom might embarrass you by inviting your date to check out your childhood photos. The word belle shows up in the middle of embellish, and belles are something that decorate or embellish something, making it more attractive. If you embellish speech, though, it can get ugly if you add a lot of details that aren't true. To embolden someone is to inspire them. You might embolden your brother to try out for a play by enthusiastically praising his singing and dancing abilities. Anyone highly regarded or prominent is eminent. Eminent people are very successful at their jobs. If you've heard of Neil deGrasse Tyson, it's probably because he's an eminent astrophysicist. When you emulate someone, you imitate them, especially with the idea of matching their success. An animal that is endangered is close to extinction, meaning there aren't very many of that type of animal left in the world. Things that endear you to others, like your sense of humor or your skill at baking chocolate chip cookies, cause them to be fond of you. Enmity means intense hostility. If you're a football fanatic, you feel enmity for your opposing team. An enormity is something extreme or huge, almost beyond comprehension. If you call having to paint the house all by yourself an enormity, your friends might take pity on you and show up with brushes and rollers. When something is so fascinating that it holds all your attention, it is said to enthrall, whether it's a thrilling action-adventure film, a breathtaking work of art, or even the person you have a crush on. Enthusiastic appreciation for something is more than just liking it, it's loving it. You're an enthusiastic fan of Italian food if you not only like it, you can't live without it. Martin Luther King Jr. envisaged a time when black and white Americans would no longer be segregated by race. To envisage is to imagine something that does not yet exist. To eradicate something is to get rid of it, to destroy it, and to kiss it goodbye. An errand is a short trip to fulfill some small business. When you're running errands, you're making a bunch of these all at once. Something or someone described as errant has gone astray or done wrong by going in an unexpected direction. An errant bird might end up in northern Canada while his friends fly to southern Mexico for the winter. If an argument between you and your brother progresses from mean looks to a fist fight, you could say that the tension between the two of you escalated. To escalate is intensify or increase quickly. Use the verb espouse to describe the actions of someone who lives according to specific beliefs, such as your friends who espouse environmentalism and as a result walk whenever possible instead of taking the car. To estrange people may sound like adding wobbly antennae and an extra eyeball to their faces. Really, estrange means to push apart people who were once close to each other and cause them to be like strangers. If you etch something, you are cutting into it. You can etch, "I love you," into a tree trunk with a pocket knife or etch your initials in your desk with a key, if the teacher's not looking. For someone who is honest and follows good moral standards, use the adjective ethical. An ethical teacher will grade your papers honestly, even if she catches you sticking your tongue out at her. Not a word for the faint-hearted. Eunuch sounds like eunuch, and if you castrate a man you make him a eunuch by, nicking the testicles with a knife or scalpel and removing them. To exasperate someone is to annoy him or her to the point of impatience, frustration and irritation, like when you exasperate a busy waiter by asking questions like, "What are all the ingredients in the salad dressing?" and making him repeat the specials 5 times. If something is exceptionable, someone is bound to find something wrong with it. Generally, exceptional is a compliment. "The concert was exceptional" means it was better than what could have been expected. But it can also just mean unusual. Maria gets to skip gym, but hers is an exceptional case. Something that's really intense or painful is excruciating. If you go skiing and break your leg in several places, the ride from the slope to the hospital will be excruciating, unless you're unconscious, too. An executioner is a government official who kills people sentenced to death. Executioners kill legally. The noun exhaust refers to what comes out of your car's tailpipe. It consists of the burned gases and particulate matter that are created by the engine. As a verb, the word exhaust means to use something up, such as a food supply or your energy. Exciting or thrilling things might exhilarate you. If you love acting, just the thought of being on stage might exhilarate you, giving you a feeling of giddy excitement. When you expostulate, you argue strongly against someone doing something. You might expostulate with your little brother, objecting to his plan to jump off the roof into a pile of leaves. Halftime at the Super Bowl, the Oscar award ceremony, or the opera Aida performed at the Baths of Caracalla, each of these is an extravaganza, a big, splashy, extravagant entertainment or celebration. If it's all the rage, everybody's into it, your parents don't get it, and teenage girls across the globe are trying to outdo each other with it, it's officially a fad. Falter means to hesitate, stumble, or waver, and everything from faith to voices can do it. So if you want to keep your bride or groom happy, it's best not to falter when it's your turn to say, "I do." If you're apt to come off as a little zany and express extreme enthusiasm for a particular idea or thing, you may be described as a fanatic. She's a real vegetable fanatic. I've never seen someone so enthusiastic about gardening methods. If you want to practice these words as multiple choice questions, you can find the guidelines in the description. If you want to play games with these words, and want to access the flashcards, you can get the detailed information in the description box. If you want to remember these words for a long duration of time, always revise these words at least 7 to 8 times. You can learn these words easily provided you burn the midnight oil. Feel free to like, subscribe and share this video. It really boosts our confidence. Have a nice day.